Dream broke, but it's clear now. No handouts, had to get down. Now what they fear now. No money, millionaire, we here now. Got scars, but I wear that crown. Turn pain to a real account. No money, no excuses, no limits.
Welcome to the No Money Millionaire podcast. This is where we teach you how to build wealth from the inside. I'm Dave Webb, your No Money Millionaire. Every week, I sit down with people who prove that success doesn't belong to the privileged, it belongs to the creative. My guest today is someone who helps people break out of that I can't afford to travel mindset permanently. Tim Walker is the founder of Travel Multiplier. He's mastered travel hacking, earned over 4 million travel rewards points, and taken his wife and 2 daughters around the world for free. He went from compassion fatigue and burnout to unlocking a system that changed his entire family's life. Tim, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Dave. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Why don't you take a minute and just tell everybody who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So I live in northeastern Pennsylvania. If you're a fan of the show The Office, I live just south of Scranton in the city of Wilkes-Barre. I've been in this area for about 17 years now. And my full-time job, I work frontline community development work, helping a lot of people out of homelessness, addiction, crisis, trauma, and really love the opportunities that gives me to be able to invest in transformation with people. But what I often found in frontline community development work is my family barely made enough money to live on. We didn't make enough money to travel. And every year it felt like we had to beg and borrow just to get a vacation to try to be replenished from the compassion fatigue that comes from that really intense yet rewarding community development work that we do. So really set me on this search for a solution. Along the way, I discovered travel hacking. And although I might not be a money millionaire, I'm now a points millionaire and have the opportunity to travel the world for free. So in a lot of ways, we went from being broke, burned out, stuck at home to now enjoying the freedom of free travel. And I love that we get to do that to create memories as a family. And I now get to teach other people how to unlock the secrets of free travel as well.
That's amazing. I'm looking forward to some of that unlocking for myself. And yeah. I'm the no money millionaire. So, you know, a lot of people that listen, a lot of them don't even take vacations. You know, I speak to a lot of people. They're working paycheck to paycheck. They're trying to get by, and myself included. You know, I truthfully hadn't had a vacation like most of my adult life. And then when I finally tried to fit in some things that might have been considered a vacation, they were work related. It's because I went somewhere for work and I just tried to be like, oh, I'm out of my neighborhood, so this is kind of a vacation. You know, I've only recently taken what I could like call a real vacation where it wasn't work related. I was just, and so, you know, your secrets, man, they're going to be extremely helpful. So looking forward to get into this. So walk me back to the beginning. How does a guy living and serving in the poorest neighborhood in Wilkes-Barre end up becoming the go-to guy for free travel?
Yeah. So for me, I remember it all started with a trip that our family took quite a few years ago. Someone had gifted us a beach house in Cape May, New Jersey on the ocean. And I remember we were so excited to be able to go. We get there and found the place was literally mold-filled, mosquito-infested. And I remember I was crushed. I remember looking at my girls who were both toddlers at the time. I remember looking at them and going, man, you know what? I do not want my girls to grow up and say, hey, remember how dad used to take us on crap vacations every year because our family could never afford to do anything better? So that really sent me on a search for all kinds of solutions. And really, what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to trade time for money. So I didn't want to hustle harder just to be able to eventually get some type of elusive vacation. So it kind of poked around with a lot of different things and found that, I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work. Well, eventually I stumbled on travel hacking. And when I stumbled on it, my first gut reaction was, okay, this is too good to be true. But to be honest, my desperation outweighed my skepticism. And I was like, all right, let me give it a shot. So I actually took a course that taught me the basics of travel hacking. And as I started to piece together the basics and then start to think so far beyond that, I was like, I feel like this is really going to work. So in my first 9 months, I earned 1.2 million travel rewards points.
Wow. Wow.
And I knew at that point I had arrived at the solution that I had searched and longed for so long.
Wow.
So started enjoying a number of free trips that first year. Along the way, I started telling some family and friends about it, started coaching them through it. And they often told me two things. Hey, Tim, this is really awesome. I can't believe I've been missing this. That's been right under my nose this whole time. And second, you're really good at teaching this. You should turn this into a business. So after mastering it for myself, helping some family and friends, I started my business called Travel Multiplier, where I basically take people from start to finish for them to be able to learn how they can enjoy the same types of free trips that so many others are as well. So it's been a fun journey. I've got that entrepreneurial side to me that I love. Catalyzing new things, exploring new ideas, being adventurous, even to travel to new cultures and places. So it's really cool to be able to look back and think of where we were just a few years ago and now be able to look at it. My girls are both in elementary school now. We've traveled to like 5 different places this year. Just all kinds of different trips. And really it's not about the trips as much as it's about the memories.
Sure.
And so the memories we've been able to create and know that we don't have to return from a trip and stress out about how we're going to pay off that trip, or we don't have to, hustle harder just to get another trip like that in the future. It's all right there, ready for us, thanks to travel hacking.
That's amazing. I watch videos and you see people who are traveling the world and, and that's their job. And it's like, how absolutely amazing. And, something you touched on when you were talking about, you didn't want to have to work harder so you could take this vacation. You wanted the time. And that's one thing that I talk a lot about. A lot of people ask, about what is financial freedom? What is it when you reach a point, and what it is your time, it gives you your time and that, you recognize that you don't want to have to take more time away to try to, spend a little time, you want to figure it out so that you can do it and have your time and the time with your family is what it's all about. So it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. I can't wait to get into some more. So, what was the moment where you said, this changes everything?
Oh, man. So many that I could think of. There's probably an initial one and a recent one. Okay. The initial one, I remember a little while back, my family got to rent a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom oceanfront beach condo with our friends. And we got to go away. The place retailed for $3,800 for the week. And we literally didn't pay a penny for it.
Wow.
And I remember contrasting that to that beach house in Cape May, New Jersey, going, hey, to think about where we've come from to where we are now, this is amazing. And then just recently, my wife and I just celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary. And thank you. Yeah. And in order to celebrate that, we actually did a 2-week getaway to Europe.
Oh, nice.
We flew to and from Europe in lay-flat business class seats. We got to enjoy world-class airport lounges. We stayed in beautiful scenic places all across Europe. And I remember totaling it all up afterwards and found that trip would have cost us $25,000. Yeah. But we got it for free. And being able to look at that was just 2 months ago, to be able to look at that and go, yeah, we've arrived. Because it wasn't just that one trip that we loved. This wasn't just a one and done endeavor. This wasn't just a shiny thing that we chased after and then, we got hung out to dry over time. Like, to see the way this is built over many years and provided so many moments, even leading up to such a large, incredible moment like that, was really amazing.
It sounds amazing. And it sounds, and a lot of people that listen to my show and my whole No Money Millionaire and all that I talk about, you're able to buy property without having to have money. A lot of people think it's just too good to be true. It just doesn't sound like it's really possible. And that's what people think about this same thing. $25,000 worth of air travel for free. It's amazing. It's amazing. And And what a change that type of travel is in flying. I mean, you can think about flying coach and sitting in this, and it's just like, oh man. And then when you are flying, like you just mentioned, it's like you're looking forward to it. It changes flying so amazing. So excellent. That's great. So most people hear travel hacking. And I'm sure you get some people think it's a scam. There's some loophole or something the banks will shut down or something's going to just stop it. So break it down. Let's hear, what is travel hacking?
Yeah. So simply put, travel hacking is a strategic process of layering and leveraging credit card rewards for thousands of dollars in free travel. So what it's not is it's not a timeshare pitch. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's not a bait and switch gimmick. It's also not something that is rare, obscure, or something that you have to get lucky for. Sometimes people hear about it and they go, oh, so you have to be the first person through the phones 12 months to the day in advance. Or, hey, I like to travel spontaneously, but I'm sure you have to grab the select few, hotels or resorts or cruise rooms that are available. No, that's not the case at all. Really, travel hacking really amasses for you a currency of travel points that allows you to be able to pay for travel with those points rather than paying in cash. So sometimes people ask, okay, so travel hacking, isn't hacking a bad thing? But the reality is all of us have life hacks. And life hacks are things that simply make us more effective or more efficient in the things that are normal and important to us. So really what I've done is just adopted travel hacking as another life hack in my life. Okay. And so it's not about spending more money. It's not about spending money that you don't have. I've built all of this off of a wise, responsible financial literacy foundation that really it's simply about strategically taking the money that you already spend and making that money work for you with really outsized value in travel rewards.
Wow. Do you find, can you use travel points to book spur of the moment flights? Do they have to be booked so far in advance, or is it something you can just pick up the phone and say, we're out of here?
Yeah, exactly. So really you can use travel points as planned or spontaneous as you want. Wow. So I've used them very spontaneously, both for opportunities and needs. I remember last summer, I had a tragic death in the family, and I needed to get across the country as quickly as possible. Sure. All I could afford to do in cash was pack up my kids in the minivan and drive hours and hours through the night in order to get there. But thankfully, since I'm sitting on this pool of travel points, I didn't have to do that. I hopped on the website. I got us the first and best flight out of town, drove to the airport, parked our car, hopped on a plane, and was there in a few short hours. Then I got us a really nice hotel where we could sleep comfortably in the midst of all that grief and chaos. There's a nice pool for the kids to be able to play in and be able to enjoy some time as well. And even in that, afterwards I got back and I was like, that was $3,000 worth of expenses that was spontaneously available for us. Whether it's for needs like that or even opportunities, sometimes my wife and I will look at each other and we'll go, hey, you want to get somebody to watch the kids so we can get out of town? And then we do. Whether you're somebody who likes to plan far in advance, you can do that. Or you're somebody who's just spontaneous, wants to get up and go, you've got the opportunity to do that as well.
Amazing. And, you mentioned about, you had a family member that was ill or you had to get to there, quickly. That I talk about a story like that, about attaining financial freedom. Now, this is interesting because we're talking about travel freedom, which, is very similar because, I had a story in my own when I was struggling and I was working, and my son, I was a single parent. So my son was, it was a school event that he had rehearsed for and was very active and he wanted me there. If I wasn't there, he didn't have anybody there, and he wanted me there. And my work was like, absolutely not. You have to be here tomorrow. And so I was forced with losing my job or being with my son, and I couldn't lose my job. So I ended up not. And then when I tell this story, I tell people, well, there's other things. What if you have to get away and you have to get to a family member for some reason, somebody's ill and you don't have the ability to be able to just go, and it could be anything. Like in my case, it was, I had to have the job. In other people's case, they maybe can't afford to travel. So it's really interesting that you brought that in like that. So, are there any like myths that you've always had to destroy about this when you're talking about it to anybody?
Yeah, absolutely. There's several prominent ones that I encounter. The biggest one is people often wonder, hey, if I start doing travel hacking, is it going to ruin or wreck my credit score?
Oh.
Investorfy, the #1 lending source for first-time and early-stage investors. Just learned how to find your first deal? Let's get it funded. Investorfy, the only no-money millionaire certified lender. Find us at Investorfy Lending or visit our website at investorfylending.com. Investorfy, turning new investors into trained professionals. What are you waiting for? Schedule your free review today.
And that's a really important thing. A number of us have worked really hard to build and maintain good credit, which is really essential for financial independence and freedom. And so it's actually a myth that travel hacking hurts your credit. Actually, travel hacking improves your credit. And there's a number of different factors that go into that. But what I found when I started travel hacking, my credit score was somewhere around 760. So I was at an excellent credit score. My credit score today is 810.
Wow. Okay.
Because it is actually grown, and all along the way, I've never paid late fees. I've never paid interest. I'm paying my statement balance off on time and in full each and every month, just by running our everyday expenses through those cards that are now making our money work for us. So that's one myth related to credit score. Second one, people often wonder, okay, so do I have to sign up for a bunch of credit cards? Like in order to travel the world, do I have to, have 20 different credit cards that I rotate? Am I going to arrive at the checkout and have this paralyzing moment of, oh no, which card do I have to use in order to get free travel? And that's not the case at all. Really what I teach is that quality matters more than quantity. So it's not about signing up for a high quantity of cards. It's really about choosing which cards best align with your travel goals, and being able to do that. The other one is people wonder, hey, do I have to be a high spender in order to do this?
Of course.
And thankfully, no, you don't. I would say proportionately to the national averages, I'm both a low earner and a low spender. But despite the fact that my spending is lower than many people, I've still leveraged that spending for 4 million travel rewards points since I started this journey. So those are some of the prominent myths that often are there in people's minds. There are others that come up as well, but those would be some of the most prominent.
Sure. Well, it definitely was in my mind about, do I have to have, multiple credit cards? Are you, so that was definitely in my mind. That's funny you said that. Yeah. Myself, I do have a tremendous amount of credit cards, but I do my own little hacking. I always take advantage of the 0% introductory. So I take free loans whenever I get them. That's what I call it. It's a free loan.
Yeah.
If I go anywhere and I had even just intended to pay for this, and they say, hey, we have 12 months, same as cash. I'm like, well, give it to me, because I will take
Absolutely.
a free loan anytime you want to give it to me. I'll put my money to work and I'll take that free loan. So anytime. So I have a stack of credit cards, and once I use the 0% interest introductory, I'm done with it. I don't even care to use it anymore. But maybe there's some things I'm going to learn here that I'm doing wrong, and I might have to start, looking at things a little differently, because I'd like to travel maybe sometimes more than I needed that little, free loan. So yeah, because I know what it's taken for me to get the points that I have. And I'm not where you are. And so, yeah, if you can do that as just, like an average spender, because it's cost me dearly to get my points. And so, yeah, it's interesting. I can't wait to get into more. So you mentioned the one trip going to Europe, lay down, business class, lay flat business class seating. Was that so far your the top travel you've done? Are there any others that top that or come close?
Yeah, so that definitely would be the top. Okay. But there are others that rank maybe a close second. One of them, my wife and I took in March. So living here in the Northeast, by the time wintertime hits, it kind of feels like we don't see the sun for about 5 months. It's cold, it's dark, it's dreary. And by the end of the winter, you start to get some cabin fever. Like you're just ready to break out of that cold climate. So my wife and I actually both celebrate our birthdays in March, just 4 days apart from each other. Okay. And so this year for our birthdays, we said, hey, what if we get away for our birthdays? So we ended up flying down to Cancun, Mexico. Stayed at an all-inclusive resort that was oceanfront. Pretty sure when I got on the plane in the Northeast, it was like 15 degrees. And then I stepped off the plane in Cancun to 85 and sunny weather that was welcoming us to a much nicer place.
Of course. So
we stayed in an incredible oceanfront, all-inclusive resort. I feel like that was some of the best sleep I got all year. Just like such a comfortable, quiet, luxurious experience. The food was amazing. I'm sitting there eating like multiple filet mignons per meal because it's just all provided for you, which is great. Yeah. My wife enjoyed the spa. We enjoyed the beach. So many different things. Wow. And so that was another highlight trip for us to be able to go. And that one was a little bit more spontaneous. That was not planned months in advance. That was a few weeks before our birthdays going, what do we want to do? Well, what can we do? We can do a lot of things. Why don't we go to Cancun? Wow. And so we really enjoyed that trip this year as well.
So let's just clarify that. The resort was booked with points as well. Mm-hmm. So you did the travel and the resort all with your points.
Yep.
Amazing. Yeah. So I bet you being dad, I bet sometimes you've at least caught this once, I'm sure, where the kids look at you. You got to be looked at as super dad sometimes, where they're looking at what you guys are doing. They're like, wow, my dad did this for us. That's got to be amazing.
Yeah, we definitely had a moment like that. About a year ago, we took the family to Disney on points. And so my girls love the Disney princesses. And watching their faces light up when they got to meet a Disney princess, sing with a Disney princess, get pictures with a Disney princess, they're just walking around like eyes lit up, looking everywhere going, this is amazing. And so part of it is I'm even trying to just at young ages tell my girls how this is possible. Tell them what we're doing. One of the things I've told them is for their 18th birthday, I'm going to take them anywhere in the world they want to go. It's going to be a special birthday trip that they have to look forward to. And I look forward to including them in helping to plan it so that they've got some ownership in it. They learn this as well. And that could produce some really cool opportunities for them in the future, maybe to study abroad, to travel as young adults, and some other things as well that we get to set up and invest in their future.
Sure. It's amazing what it does traveling outside of the country. It's amazing what it does to the, being able to grow up and experience that and having it. I didn't get to do it until I was way later in life. And, even for my son, I didn't take these vacations. My story was, I struggled until I figured out how to do what I was doing. But, I had an aha moment as well. I've been in real estate for a long time, struggling, trying to do it the standard and traditional way. And then I did my first, where it clicked, like I asked you, where was that click moment? And I did my first one where I clicked, where I didn't use any money to do it. And then, wow, that was that aha moment. And wow, what a life changer. So, that's awesome. But you, and just like myself, but you didn't keep this to yourself. You've helped a lot of people pull off free trips they never thought would be possible. You want to tell us about some examples or some, people you've helped?
Yeah. Why don't I kind of like zoom out first and kind of give the how to kind of what the process was, how that worked for them, and then I'll share kind of where that led them. So you might be listening to this and go, all right, I'm in. I want to do travel hacking. How do I do it?
I'm in.
So I would say there's really 3 steps that any person who wants to start travel hacking needs to do. Step 1 is determine your travel goals. Figure out like, where do you want to go? And I often encourage people to ask and answer the question, where would you travel if money wasn't an obstacle? So what would that be for you? And there's all kinds of different ways that people love to travel. Some people's ideal vacation would be like my tropical escape to Cancun. Other people would say, hey, I don't enjoy sunny beaches. I prefer secluded mountain cabins or a ski resort. Or some people would say, put me on a cruise ship rather than an airplane. Or some people would say, I'm terrified of flying. I'd rather rent a car. Whatever it would be, based on your travel goals. The good thing is there's no one size fits all method for travel hacking. So you're really able to make travel hacking work for whatever you would enjoy. But that starts with that first step of determining your travel goals.
Okay.
Second step is then to sign up strategically for the credit cards that align with your travel goals. The first and best card that I recommend to every person is the Chase Sapphire Preferred card. So that card is one of the highest earning, most rewarding type of points. And there's all kinds of different things that you can do with that. Here's a travel hack that many couples miss. Rather than signing up for a card and adding your significant other as an authorized user, you could actually sign up for a card individually, use that card, and then refer your significant other to get that exact same card and double the amount of bonus points that you get. So let's say you decide you're going to get the Chase Sapphire Preferred card. If you spend $5,000 in your first 3 months, if you just spend $1,700 per month on everyday expenses, then you would earn 75,000 bonus points. So you'd have about 80,000 points that you're sitting on at that point. But then if you refer your significant other to do the exact same thing afterwards, they earn 80,000 points, and then you actually earn 15,000 bonus points for referring them. So that would earn you about 175,000 points just by each of you signing up separately for one credit card. So the question becomes, what can you do with 175,000 points? What's that actually worth?
Sure.
That's where step 3 of the process comes in. So step 1, determine your travel goals. Step 2, sign up strategically for cards that fit your travel goals. Chase Sapphire Preferred is a great one to start with. Step 3 is then maximize those rewards for free travel. And this is where many people end up veering off course. A lot of people know how to earn points, and they have history in earning points, but they don't know how to maximize the value of those. So where could 175,000 points take you? It could take you to that all-inclusive resort that I just told you about in Cancun. So that place retails for $1,500 per night. That's the cash price.
Wow.
But you can rent that place for 55,000 points per night. So you could fly to Cancun on your points. You could stay there 55,000 points per night. You could get a long weekend there and enjoy $4,500 worth of travel, $5,000 worth of travel for about 175,000 points. One of the things that illustrates is a key principle that not all points are created equal in value. So what many people do is they'll earn points, and then coming up around Christmas time, they will cash in their points for gift cards. And when you do that, you're getting about 0.7 cents per point in value. Other people say, hey, it'd be kind of nice to put some extra money in my pocket. Not a bad option. But if you do that, you're earning about a penny per point in value. Whereas in that example, like I just mentioned with Cancun, 55,000 points got me a $1,500 resort night, which means that those points were redeemed at 3 cents per point in value.
Wow.
Take the international business class flight I mentioned. We flew direct from Philadelphia to Amsterdam. Those lay flat business class seats cost $4,100 a piece. We booked those for 55,000 points each. So those points were redeemed for about 7 cents per point in value.
Yeah.
And so that's how simple it can be. Determine your travel goals, sign up for credit cards that align with those goals, redeem those points for maximum value, and now your everyday spending is earning you all kinds of free travel. So to your question of what's it been like for people that have followed that process, people that have taken the course that I offer or worked with me as a coach, what are some of the places that they've been able to go? Well, one guy, he and his wife were coming up on their 10th wedding anniversary. And so they were able to earn 10 nights at an all-inclusive golf resort in Cancun. They flew to there and back for free. It would have been a $6,000 trip that they didn't pay a penny for. Another couple took my course after they got engaged. And engaged couples have plenty of details that they're trying to figure out in wedding prep. Yeah. Wedding season is stressful enough, but this is so easy that just by following those 3 steps, that couple, in the year leading up to their wedding, earned enough to be able to enjoy a free honeymoon in Costa Rica. But what was great is they didn't use all their points on their honeymoon. They then had all kinds of points left over that they used for all kinds of day trips, family trips, and vacations within their first year of marriage as well. It doesn't just work for couples. Another family took the course. They went and they enjoyed a week in Washington, D.C. with their family of 7. But that whole idea of it's not rare or obscure to find it. They did that the week of Memorial Day. So they went in prime time, like peak season, to Washington, D.C., and got to enjoy that for an entire week during Memorial Day week. Another course student texted me and he said, "Hey, I just want to say thank you. You made Thanksgiving possible for our family this year. We used to have to figure out if we were going to pack up the kids and drive for multiple days to get across the country. We'd arrive so tired and worn out that kind of makes family time a little bit more of a damper. But because of travel hacking, we got to fly our family of 5 to and from our family across the country Thanksgiving week and not pay a penny for it." So there's all kinds of different stories like that. Those are just a few of the many. I've had the privilege of working with over 100 different people that have taken my travel hacking course now, and they've unlocked the secrets of free travel and taken all kinds of large trips and little trips in between and absolutely loved it.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So all points don't spend the same. It depends on where you spend them to get the most out of them. So like using the points to pay off my credit card bill, that's probably not one of the better ways to use them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you do that, you're getting about a penny per point in value. And again, that's not bad. It's just not best. Travel hacking is the difference between good and great. There's lots of good rewards out there, but there's a whole nother world of great rewards that are worth so much more when you redeem for free travel. Yeah.
And do you have, does that apply even to like different airlines and different, So do you have some favorites that you like to use the points with?
Yeah, so I'll give you a couple examples of how not all points are created equal. So let's take airlines, for instance. Delta points typically are redeemed for about 1.3 cents per point, but Delta flights are more expensive, and those points are harder to earn. It means if you pour all of your spending into, say, a Delta credit card, you might get 1 or 2 flights per year for free. Okay. Not bad, but harder to earn. And you can do that. There are ways to fly Delta, and our family does do that. But that would be an example of lower value points, higher cost flights that take more. On the other end of the spectrum, you could look at an airline like American Airlines. Their points are worth about 1.7 points, 1.7 cents per point. But within that, their flights cost about half as much as Delta. So you can earn significantly more points with American Airlines. Those points go way further, and then you're able to do more. The other thing is a number of airlines actually offer companion passes. Okay. Where through your credit card spending, you can earn companion passes where anytime you are flying somewhere, you can take somebody else with you to fly for free. So there's all kinds of hacks like that help you to fly for free. Another example on the hotel side of things would be the difference between Hilton and Hyatt. So Hilton points are worth 0.5 cents per point. They're not worth very much.
Right.
In contrast, Hyatt points are worth 3 times as much or more. Hyatt points are worth about 1.7 cents per point, but you can also find Hyatt places that you can get for 3 cents per point, 5 cents per point, 8 cents per point. And the great thing is Hyatt is not just hotels. You can do house rentals. You can do all-inclusive resorts. You can do glamping. You can do all kinds of different things with Hyatt points, which are incredible. And the great thing is when you start to learn how all of the points not just work, but work together. So the Chase Sapphire Preferred Card allows you to transfer those points to Hyatt. So your Chase points can be used for Hyatt, or they could be used for airlines, or they could be used for rental cars. One of the people I worked with just took a $3,800 cruise for free using her Chase points. Wow. So there's all kinds of different things that you can do with those points when you learn not just what they're valued at, how they work, but how they work together as well. It really connects the dots between a lot of opportunities.
Sure. I'm sure it's taken you some time to be able to know the ins and outs and hence the reason that you're teaching people how to do it, because I could see somebody, even if they would go out and get some points, without a lot of time, which I'm sure you've invested a lot of time, but you wouldn't even know what to do with your points.
Right.
I'm guilty of that. I'm sure I haven't gotten the most out of my points. I'm sure I haven't. So, yeah. But that's going to stop. This podcast is
there you go.
Definitely going to make that stop.
Yeah.
So
that's what I tell people. That the reality is there are over 90 different travel rewards credit cards on the market, and all of those credit card companies have really skilled marketing departments that do a really good job of making you think that their card is the best. Yeah. Sometimes it's the best, or sometimes the worst cards are popularized by the best marketers. Okay. And so what I often acknowledge is that can be stressful and challenging to figure out which cards are worth it, which cards to get, what order to get them, knowing that getting it right or wrong can be the difference in thousands of dollars in free travel. Wow. So what I've done is I've taken all of the experience that I had, the expertise that I've accumulated over the years, and I've tried to really synthesize it and curate it in a way where I can tell people, hey, I'll save you time, I'll save you points, I'll save you money, and most importantly, I'll save you from costly mistakes, which is a game changer for so many people that are wanting to start out.
Oh, definitely. I've heard you say many things, but one of the things that was just like that light bulb that since you've been speaking is, do you know how many times I've added someone to my card that could have just gotten their own and gotten that welcome bonus, and wow. And then you're right. Then I get the referral bonus. They get the welcome bonus, doubled it up for the same exact having 2 cards. Wow. Yeah. So that right there was a light bulb moment for me. I was like, wow, that's going to stop. That no more of that. So thank you for that. Now, what else? Have you seen any mistakes that kind of burns people out, or right out of the gate, kind of like any mistakes that you see people make?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I would say is go at your pace and do it your way. So I think sometimes what happens is people get into this, they get really excited, and then they get really obsessive about the value of points. Sometimes people get really neurotic about it.
Sure.
And they will spend so much time obsessing over, am I getting 5 cents per point? Am I getting 7 cents per point? And do I really want to book this, or should I wait for another one? Or should I do this? Or am I going to research for another 2 hours? And this is where I'm a pretty busy person. I work with a lot of busy people, and I just encourage people, don't trade financial cost for opportunity cost. Meaning, don't just, save money at the expense of your time.
Sure.
Yes, financial cost matters, but opportunity cost does too. Yeah. Because your time is a valuable resource that you get to invest in all kinds of opportunities. So for me, this isn't like I'm sitting around doing this for hours and hours a day or a week or even a month. What I've done is I've boiled it down into a way that's really efficient and easy. I equip people with tools that make it quick and simple and easy, and it can be that simple if you keep it that simple. Sure. The other thing that people do is sometimes they try to follow somebody else's path rather than creating their own. So they go, wow, it looks like tropical vacations are amazing. I'm gonna try do a tropical vacation. I don't really like the beach. And I'm not really an outdoor person, but I guess I'll do that because it seems like that's the way that everybody enjoys travel hacking. Well, that's not true at all. You should go at your own pace and do it your own way so that you're really not just maximizing value, but maximizing the experience, maximizing the enjoyment. And I think if people are able to do that, it makes a huge difference. Along the way, there's plenty of, logistical mistakes to watch out for. Making sure that I always encourage people, set up auto pay on your cards where it just automatically, you don't even have to think about it or remember it, just pays off your statement balance on time and in full. So then you never have to risk any late fees or debt or anything like that. All kinds of different things like that. There's a lot of different tricks and tips that as you get into it, you can definitely find, there are some potential mistakes. But part of what I teach in my course is, hey, here's like the 10 top, mistakes to avoid. These will keep you from literally crashing and burning, in your travel hacking journey.
Excellent. Let's see what your take is on this. I listened to Mr. Wonderful, from the Shark Tank. I heard him one time. It was off the Shark Tank. It was maybe on YouTube or something. I heard him speaking one time, and he was talking about points. And he said that one of the worst things you can do with your points is to just sit on them and let them accumulate and let them accumulate. He said because they're constantly changing the points environment. And he said you lose your value the longer that you're withholding them. He said because what points get you today, they may not get you the same thing as you held on to them for a long period of time. So, and maybe he's just talking very minor differences, but like Delta's made a lot of changes even in their rewards program, their membership. They've made a lot of changes. So is that something that you've seen? Is that accurate, what he's saying?
So I would say yes and no.
Okay.
Does the landscape change? Yes. But are there enduring principles and frameworks that help you easily navigate all of that? Yes. Okay. So it's not like when you learn travel hacking, something changes and then you have to unlearn and relearn. Really, the system, the process is all the same. But along the way, there are some minor changes that you have to navigate. I'm not necessarily someone that subscribes to the earn and burn philosophy of points. Okay. So right now, I'm sitting on, I think I'm sitting on about 1.7 million points.
Sure.
Which is crazy. If you think about what I described in my journey, I've earned 4 million.
Okay.
And I've only had to spend just over half of them.
Right, half of it.
To take about 16 different trips. Some of them as lavish as Europe and Cancun or family trips or Disney or whatever. Right. So I think I'm sitting on about 1.7 million points right now. And so, yeah, there are slight changes at times where at times value might decrease a little bit in one program, or it might change a little bit in another. But the flip side is also true. Values don't just decrease. Sometimes they increase. So the good thing is if you're sitting on a pool of points, sometimes the value that you had just grew, not shrunk. And so that's why I think it's important just to know what's the next travel goal that you're pursuing, and pursue that. And that might be 3 months from now. That might be 15 months from now. So I would say it's important to keep pursuing your next travel goal. But sometimes I do encounter people that say, hey, right now I'm not in a season of life where I can travel. Maybe you're caring for an ailing parent, or maybe you've got an infant at home, or maybe work has a lot of mandatory overtime. You go. I always say the best time to start is now. Start earning the points now, and maybe you do earn them and sit on them for quite a while. But then the great thing is the points are ready when you're ready. So I totally get the Mr. Wonderful side of like earn and burn. There's a lot of people in the travel hacking world that talk about that language. I would say that's more for maybe the higher end travel hackers. When you're a high spender, when you're a high net worth person, when you just have more points than you know what to do with, burn them up. Fine. That's great. Travel, but sometimes, I find just like we budget our money, we also have to budget our points, to know what are we saving toward? What are we earning them? How are we going to redeem them, and go from there?
Makes sense. And it's another thing that you've said here today is tied into other shows that I've had, and also a lot of the whole what I teach, and I'm a big supporter of. You got to find your why. And you mentioned that. You got to find your why. And even so, like me, I came out of a very poor upbringing, out of the inner city of Detroit. And I was broke, on coming up on welfare, and I just wanted money. I didn't know why. I didn't know how. I just wanted money. And, it was a struggle always, until you kind of can start to change your view and really dial in what is your why. And once you start getting that why, you can really start achieving what you're after a lot better. And it sounded like that was one of your things that you advise people to. Find out your why. What is it that you want to do? And then start planning accordingly. And so it's neat how it ties back together.
Can I jump in with a real fun connection? I don't know if you noticed on my video here. There's a University of Michigan sign back there with a Tom Brady sign. So I'm originally from Taylor, Michigan. I grew up just south of Detroit. Yeah. So huge University of Michigan fan. When you said Michigan, I was like, no way. But I think even for me, what you just described, that's part of my why, both in community development work and in my passion for travel. My dad got clean and sober, right after I was born. And one of the things I watched my dad do on his journey of transformation is my dad always prioritized memories over money. Like, he just worked really hard to create really incredible memories. We traveled and did things, and my dad worked hard to kind of have that like rags to riches experience over the years. And so then I think that became part of my why, because I wanted to be able to do some of that for my kids, and I wasn't able to do that. And then travel hacking allowed me to be able to give my kids many of the same types of experiences that my dad gave me growing up. So kind of a cool connection, like you're saying, both to what the why behind your story, and even the where of where both of our stories have occurred over the years. That's cool.
And knowing your area, where you're from, you're not in tremendous amount of area where people are jet setting, lay flat to Europe, going to Cancun, all expenses paid, all inclusive. That's not really the norm where you're at. So
No, not at all.
I'm very familiar. So, good for you. Good for you. So let me ask you this. Do you ever think, do you ever think about what your life would look like had you never discovered this?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think about that a lot. I think about it every time I experience a really refreshing, replenishing time away.
Nice.
I think about the contrast of what it's like in the absence of that. I remember so many of those, gritty years of gutting it out through walking through a lot of crisis and trauma and tragedy and grief with people. And as I did that, I remembered going, man, there's a lot of people in the nonprofit community development world that they lack longevity because they lack access to refreshment. Sure. What I often tell like the team that I lead is, hey guys, the reality is in organizational leadership, especially in community development work, your team is rarely going to be healthier than you are. And so what I appreciate is everything that I'm doing in travel hacking. Without that, I don't know that I would have, had 17 years of longevity here. Without that, there's a lot of memories that would have evaporated with my kids. Without that, I would be in a significantly less healthy place. I think the impact of what I do in frontline community development work would have been diminished, because if I can't bring my best, I can't give my best. And so beyond the details of, type of travel and extravagance of travel that we've been able to do, it's really kind of been like a work hard, rest hard, operating system that's really fueled that. And so I think about the fact that travel hacking has made that possible. And without it, I think there's a lot of possibilities that would have been lost and missed along the way. So all of that just makes me incredibly grateful for what I get to do when I'm home, and now for the freedom to be able to peel away from the details of home and be able to enjoy some refreshing time away.
And what you're giving to your children. You're changing their lives dramatically.
Yeah.
Their friends, I'm sure, aren't getting, a lot of their friends, I'm sure where you're at, aren't getting the same experiences that they're getting,
right.
And
Yep.
what an amazing stuff to add to their character and to, to their well-being. So, no, that's great. So if someone's listening and thinking, this sounds awesome, but I still don't get it, what's the simplest way you can explain why travel hacking works?
Yeah. So simplest thing I would say is every time you make a purchase, you have a choice. You're going to use cash, check, debit, or credit. Well, moving forward, if your trips to the grocery store, the gas station, your time on Amazon or other things shifted to travel credit cards, now each of those purchases aren't going to just be draining your bank account. They're going to be building up a pool of resources that you can use for free travel. So it really is as simple as that. And then there's all kinds of strategic things that you can layer on top of that as well.
Where would you tell people if they want to get started? Where should people go to actually get started the right way? Where are you going to direct them to go?
Yeah, I'd love to have you check out my website, travelmultiplier.com. Maybe you're interested but still skeptical. One of the things you'll find on there's a free guide that I offer called The Skeptic's Guide to Travel Hacking, where I work through many of the most common myths that people have surrounding travel hacking. I offer a free travel hacks newsletter on a weekly basis. I share best practices, trip tips, tools, principles, things like that. Then I have my course that I offer. It's called Becoming a Travel Hacker, How to Unlock the Secrets of Free Travel. So it's about 3 hours of on-demand video content broken down into 5 to 15 minute lessons. So you can consume it as quickly or as slowly as your schedule allows. And in that course, you'll go from feeling discouraged with your inability to afford travel to feeling empowered and equipped to take dream vacations for free using points and miles. So I'd love to have you join me in that. The entire thing will take you from start to finish and really empower you to unlock the secrets of free travel.
That's great. So everybody listening, you heard it. Travelmultiplier.com. There's free newsletters. There's free information to learn how to travel the world using points. You've heard his stories today. Amazing stories. So this was great. This was excellent. I really appreciate your time. The way you break this down makes travel feel possible again, even for normal people. I appreciate you coming, and thank you. Thanks for sharing your time and your blueprint and I'm going to be getting on there and taking those courses myself. So you'll start seeing me on there real soon. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Dave.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
No money, no excuses, no limits. I wanna be